Okay guys, welcome to the show. Today I will be finalizing my experience aboard the Quantum of the Seas. We took a 3-day cruise to nowhere, and it went from Shanghai, stopped at nowhere, and went back to Shanghai. Originally we were supposed to stop at Jeju Island, but we didn't, so because of politics, obviously. But I'll give you the finalization of what went down during this trip. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's start off with the room. The room is actually something that I am very happy about on this cruise. The room is very nice, spacious for an interior cabin, although I do believe we have a deluxe interior cabin, so it is the same size as a balcony cabin. The cabin is pretty cool. It has a virtual balcony, but that doesn't really serve a effective purpose, except it kind of gives you a view if you want. But honestly, if you turn on the TV, you can also get a view of the ocean, so not a big difference, but I like the touch, although they could have spent that money in other places that would have made this trip more enjoyable. The room is nice, 2 single beds, a couch if you have some extra people staying with you, and the bathroom is not too small for a cruise ship standard, and there's a lot of space to sit, lounge, and relax. So the room was definitely a positive. Next, I know you are all excited to hear about the food. Let's start with the Windjammer Marketplace. So the Windjammer is the main buffet that you will be spending most of your time in if you prefer to have a relatively efficient meal. So the Windjammer serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but the hours are something that is really annoying to me, because from 2:30 to 5:30 the Windjammer is closed, and it closes at 8:30 in the night, which really bugs me out, because normally on a cruise line they might close the main meal at like 8 or 9, but at least there will still be offerings there from 9 to 10. Also, the food every day is very repetitive and of low quality. You'll find nothing like beef related, almost no good meat products. There is fish every day, but it's the low quality kind, and this is kind of the low quality cruise food that you hear about a lot, and overall that was a very disappointing aspect of the cruise. The main dining rooms are, I guess, average compared to all the different cruises that I have been on, because the food there isn't of the highest quality, but it definitely isn't the worst. There's nothing special on the menu except a few Asian delicacies, but really it's just your average cruise ship food with nothing great but nothing terrible about it. Other locations where you can eat are small cafes and the specialty dining, which we didn't opt for because on this ship it is ridiculously priced. Okay, so now let's go on to onboard activities. At first glance, the Quantum of the Seas is one of the most activity-filled cruise ships, but have 2 back-to-back sea days and you will be longing for home. So the activities have a wide range, coming from surfing to splashing in the pool to rock climbing or bumper cars. But let me warn you, flow rider, rock climbing, and bumper cars will all see lines over an hour, guaranteed. Today we went on the bumper cars and the line took us over 2 hours, and we got there super early just to make sure that we would get on. The people in the back never even got a chance to do it. It's open for 3 hours on this one day. It was only open on the first day and this day, so about 5 hours combined with those 2 days of bumper car action, and everyone wants to do it. Also, if the attractions don't have ridiculously long lines, they have to cost a price. The North Star used to be free and you had to make a reservation, and now you have to pay $29 for a 10-minute ride and $40 for the extended North Star experience, which is a slightly longer version of that. And also like events like iFly or Ripcord or whatever it's called by iFly, that also costs amount of money too, but that actually is something that makes sense to cost money. Yeah, so there are a lot of onboard activities to do. You just have to pay for them or wait 2-hour lines. So whatever you want. Now let's talk entertainment. Entertainment has always been an area where I think Royal Caribbean has done a pretty nice job, because their shows are always nice. There always seems to be live music. But I did notice there was a big lack of live music this time, or maybe I just wasn't in the right lounges or right locations. The productions are obviously meant to be much cheaper. They hired a comedian and magician on one night, and then on another night there was this horrible, there were only a few live characters. They called it the 3D Wizard of Oz experience or something like that, and there were only a few actual actors and the rest was just played on a screen. So obviously they've cut down on the price of their entertainment here on board. So the entertainment is a part where I found very lacking this time. Our final main section is service. Service is always an area that Royal Caribbean hasn't been the best at, but hasn't been the worst at. But this time it felt a little bit lacking. I don't know whether it was because we were in Asia or not, but the service here was kind of poor. Customer service is definitely an area that needs to be improved. I will talk about that by the end of the video. Service in the restaurant felt really, really lacking, because the waiters, they will just come take your order, give you the food, and then you eat, and then you're out. There was no talking. They didn't explain the dish. They didn't make jokes or anything like the normal fare. They didn't seem passionate about their job, but that could have been because of a language barrier between the Chinese tourists and the global workers. And then room service wasn't bad. Our room service person was actually Chinese. He came by, talked a few times, but he never started up a conversation. It was always us that had to start the conversation, and we were always complaining about something, which I will talk about later. Now, our final segment of this show is talking about Royal Caribbean's price cuts and some technological flaws that we experienced on this cruise. So, first, price cuts. When did the shampoo, body wash become the same thing as lotion? Because that is what our room service person told us. He said that the two had somehow become one thing and you were supposed to use it multifunctionally. That is a very odd price cut that at least we experienced. Second, toothbrushes were cut, and toothbrushes used to be free. We were expecting to get them when we went down to customer service to ask for them, but instead we had to buy them. $3.50 for each toothbrush and $7 for toothbrush. So those prices are really, really high. Also, the food has taken dramatic price cuts. You don't see as much meat products. A lot of vegetables are used to make it look like they're giving you more food than they actually are. Like the crab cakes have become like 70% stuff that isn't crab, and the crab is definitely not fresh either, although that is kind of to be expected out of a typical cruise ship restaurant. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is the technology. For almost the first 2 days, the technology was just not working. The TVs would work for like 3 minutes and then they would go like error. You guys can see that in the Asia trip vlogs. And also, let's talk about the service when we tried to book for the North Star. So first we went down to customer service and they told us to go up to Shore Excursions to book for the North Star experience. And Shore Excursions, they use these iPads, which I think is pretty cool because it saves the paper or the people of booking an excursion or an onboard activity. So we were redirected there, and the iPads, we were told, weren't working. So the people there at Shore Excursions told us that we should wait and come back in a few hours to see if the iPads were working, which they were not. The night of the second day, the iPad started to work, but we were notified that there weren't any spaces available anymore, and we thought that's odd. No one was able to book from Shore Excursions unless if they had the app, which meant they had to have the Wi-Fi or are like frequent cruisers or just planned ahead of time. And it turns out that guest services actually started to take bookings, but the guest services earlier redirected us to Shore Excursions, so obviously that was a bad miscommunication. Also, the photos, I really appreciate their efforts to save paper, so they went completely paperless with these screens, but the issue is that there was a bug with all the technology on board, so you couldn't print your photos for the better half of 2 days as well. So if you wanted photos, you would either have to wait until a later time to print them, or you would just have to deal with it. And yeah. So that concludes my review of the Quantum of the Seas. Obviously, the experience was not that good compared to the other cruises that I've been on Royal Caribbean. The hard product is one that is really good, but the soft product, like the service and the food, was one that could be forgettable. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you learned something from this video and will book or will not book this cruise based off of what you heard today. Thanks for watching.